That's probably better for everyone anyways. Okay, so where was I? Got it. Before we get into the actual Sermon on the Mount, I want to talk about the setting and bring us a little closer to how they would hear it. They Jesus is preaching and teaching, and they live in a society that's quite a bit different than our culture in America here in the way of shame and honor. So shame and honor is the social currency of their time. It is the game that they play for social to gain in status. You gain personal honor. If for your family, not necessarily for the individual. Right along, we're going to expound on that. Right alongside this kind of society, um, side by side with it is a corporate mentality, not an individual mentality. So my life as an individual is seen in the larger framework of my family, and my family and my community take precedence over myself. My reaction, the way that I behave as an individual, sets the stage for my entire family's acceptance or ostracation from the community. Um, Different than our society. In our society, an individual can do something that might be considered shameful and then turn themselves around and be completely accepted by society. Um, Likewise, a person that has a lot of money or influence in our society, their behavior is tolerated, or a wider range of behavior is tolerated in their case because they have influence and stature because of money. In their society, it was shame or honor that gained a person access to the social structure. So if I act in a shameful way, not only are people going to see me as shameful, they're not going to want to do business with me. But not only me, anyone that's associated with me, my whole family. So my behavior carries with it a great personal risk to my entire family in a way that we are not as familiar with today in our Western society. Furthermore, their experience is much more corporal than ours is. The way they relate to God and to each other is very corporal. Um, Even the way that they pray, and I'm mentioning prayer because Jesus is going to be talking about prayer here just a little bit in this Sermon on the Mount. When you and I pray, we pray kind of ad hoc, as needed. If a situation arises, I might pray. I might be praying, driving in the car on the way down here, on the way back, because I have some quiet time. I might be praying, I pray before meals. I pray before I go to bed. I'm not saying I do all the time. I'm just saying I can pray impromptu. Prayer to them is something that they participated in at a set time each day. I don't remember specifically what the times are, but 3 times a day they pray. Wherever you are, you pray. And everyone is doing this corporately. Sorry. That's a very different experience than we have. And knowing that these things exist, that their social structure is based on honor and shame, a person who behaves honorably to his peers is going to be held up in the society and is going to be given opportunities and is going to be admired and held up as a hero where a person who acts shamefully is going to be ostracized, and his family is not going to be given opportunities, and people are not going to want to associate with them. A little bit different. Now, I want to hear the Sermon on the Mount. We're not going to get through the whole Sermon on the Mount. We're just going to get through the introduction tonight. But I want to hear the Sermon on the Mount through the ears of a first century Jew in Judea. Furthermore, this happens right at the beginning of his ministry. He's going around, he's performing miracles. I'm going to read 4:23 to 25. Jesus was going about in all Galilee, teaching in their synagogues and proclaiming the good news of the kingdom, and healing every kind of disease and every kind of sickness among the people. And the news about him went out into all Syria, and they brought to him all who were ill, taken with various diseases and pains, demoniacs, epileptics, paralytics, and he healed them. And great multitudes followed him from Galilee and Decapolis and Jerusalem and Judea, and from beyond the Jordan. So he's gaining a following by performing miracles that are messianic in nature. And what's he doing? He's proclaiming the good news of the arrival of what? The kingdom. Okay? Now, when he saw the multitudes, he went up on the mountain, and after he sat down, his disciples came to him. And he opened his mouth and began to teach, saying, and I'm just going to read it from the translation. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of the heavens. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek or gentle, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be satisfied. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall receive mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. Blessed are those who have been persecuted for the sake of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of the heavens. Blessed are you when men cast insults at you and persecute you and say all kinds of evil against you falsely on account of me. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward in heaven is great, for so they persecuted the prophets who were before you. You are the salt of the earth. Well, let's pause there. Let's pause and talk about this first part. When we hear this, blessed are the poor in spirit, the word blessed I think throws off that if it doesn't bother you guys, it doesn't bother me at all. It's fantastic. Yeah, the kids. So just keep it rolling. Who cares? So this word makarios in Greek, and I don't want to get too technical and too focused on individual words, but in this particular case, in Jesus' sermon, what he is saying is we don't realize the social upheaval that he is throwing in their face. We have, in societies, there are heroes. We have heroes or idols. We have a modern word that we might use as a celebrity. These people that represent our social ideal that we all would like to be, that society ascribes to achieve what these individuals have, okay? In the culture of Christ's time, a person who has achieved honor in their society, everybody else, just like our society, looks up to them, right? Wants to be them, But in their society, there's the added benefit of assuming that God is blessing this individual, okay? This individual has attained what he has because God is honoring him. Therefore, we should all honor and emulate this individual because obviously he's being blessed by God. That is, okay, the idea of being blessed, receiving a gift, right? That's really not that's what we hear when we hear blessed are. You know, fortunate are they. That's not the idea of this word. The idea of the word, of this word, is the feeling that one gets when they're seeing their idol. So imagine that you are yourself and you see, just imagine the person that you, like, man, I wish I could be that person. That awe that you feel, or the fact that you know that they are happy, the happiness that they have attained through what they have. That particular feeling is what's in view here. That's the word that's described. From the outsider, it's admiration. From the insiders, it's happiness, it's actually satisfaction. It's not being blessed. The blessed part is what they receive, but it's actually like happiness, satisfied, or lucky, fortunate are. Like, you know, if you see a person who has attained fame and fortune, you're like, man, that guy's had a great run, right? He's been very fortunate. He's very lucky. You use those words, that feeling that you get when you see that person, and you're like, oh man, it's like borderline envy. You know, it's like, dude, that guy has had, man, everything he touches turns to gold. This guy has got it. He's got it made. The feeling that guys get when they talk about Elon Musk, you know, this is what, imagine though that you are in a culture of honor and shame, and Christ is preaching the kingdom, and he's saying blessed, although really it's lucky, fortunate, to be envied are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of the heavens. Fortunate are those who mourn, for they're going to be comforted. Fortunate, those who, the meek have it made, for they will inherit the earth. Super lucky are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be satisfied. Uniquely fortunate are the merciful, for they shall receive mercy. The clean in heart have it made, for they shall see God. To be envied are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the sons of God. Now, the idea of being the idea of blessed is a modern term that can kind of encapsulate all of these ideas, but it really throws it off because none of the people that he uses are, well, all of the people that he uses are all of the people that you would assume in that society should be cast aside. They're the ones who we don't want to associate with because it would bring me what? Dishonor. I don't want to associate with the lowly because that means that brings dishonor upon me. They are receiving what they deserve from the Lord. That's why they're low. And God is saying, no. These people are the heroes. These ones are the ones to be envied. It's a complete upheaval of their social structure. Now, I want to pause again and talk about their social structure. From what we know of the Pharisees and scribes and the culture of Judaism when Christ arrived on the earth, were they focused on other people or were they focused on themselves? More on themselves. Much more on themselves. The scribes, and how would a person, if we were all walking, I know that we're not Jews, but I think that we can put this together. If we were first century Jews and we're all just us, we're common, how would we be able to tell a Pharisee if he's walking on the street from one of us? The way he's dressed, right? He's going to wear things that identify him as being what? Special, right? Why does he do that?
He's earned it.
Right. He feels like he's earned it, and he wants people to know that he has attained a status before God that makes him what? Special. And critically, above. Right? That makes him above other people. The Pharisee and the scribe, they are the idols of the society. They are the ones who are held up as your idyllic Jew. This is the person that Yahweh blesses. Okay? And Christ is saying his opening message that is recorded of him preaching the kingdom is the real winners are the poor in spirit, because theirs is the kingdom of the heavens. Now, the heavens are above the earth. So the kingdom of the heavens is superior to the kingdom of the earth. Fair? Those who mourn, just listen to the list. The poor in spirit, those who mourn, the meek, those who are hunger and thirst for righteousness, the merciful, the clean in heart, the peacemakers, those who have been persecuted for the sake of righteousness. And then he ends on a more personal, prophetic one. Blessed are you when men insult you and persecute you and say all kinds of evil against you falsely on account of me. None of these have anything to do with high social standing. None of them do. None of these people, or associating with these people, or letting yourself be put in this position, none of it gains you any social standing. Did you hear it? No. Okay, cool. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing about his list that rings true for their culture. Christ in this moment is challenging, he's throwing in their face their value structure. And their value structure is their ethical code, their social construct is all about each person is playing the game of honor on the surface for self-benefit before God and before men. Whatever. Who does that? Okay. And Christ has a huge problem with this. Matter of fact, he detests, more than anything in his message, Christ stands against this kind of worship. The worship of the scribes and the Pharisees, where everything is on the outside, everything is before men, nothing's on the inside. And again, what is so difficult, not difficult, it's a challenge. We do not hear it, but he's challenging their social structure, and he's saying, in blessed or fortunate are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of the heavens. The poor in spirit are those who are losing. The poor in spirit are those who are not fitting into the honor code. For theirs is the kingdom of the heavens, the kingdom that is to come, the one of promise belongs to the people that we say are unworthy? What? He's being very antagonistic, and we don't quite appreciate it, but we need to. In 13, he drives this home. Listen to what he says in 13. This is so in their face. You are the salt of the earth. But if the salt has become tasteless, how will it be made salty again? It is good for nothing anymore except to be thrown out and trampled under men by foot. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Nor do men light a lamp and put it under a barrel, but on the lampstand, and it gives light to all who are in the house. Let your light shine before men in such a way that they may see your good works and glorify your Father who is in heaven. We're going to pause there. Okay, this is a little bit lost on us, but salt is used first for saving, for what? Thank you. I kept wanting to say preparation, but I'm like, that's not the word. Don't say it. For preservation, salt is used for preservation. How does that work? Right. Yeah. I know we're not. It's not. I'm not looking for anything mysterious. So they would submerge food in like what we would call rock salt. Well, there's only so much moisture that an individual salt crystal can pull out of the food. And so they would take the salt that was completely saturated, throw it out, because it's lost its saltiness. The desiccant nature of it has been used up. So they throw it out on the street. What happens to it? Well, it gets trampled underfoot, it gets smashed, and then it's dried out again. And then the rain comes, washes it away, dissolves it, and it's gone. And it's actually, it goes back into the ocean. You can dry it out again and reuse it. But the point is, once it's done, once it has saturated all the moisture, it can't saturate anymore. You can't use it to saturate again until you toss it out and dry it first. What is he saying to them? Hear what he is saying. You are the salt of the earth, but if you've already been used up, you're not good for anything anymore. What's he saying? First of all, what has he already said to them? Blessed are all your outcasts. Your outcasts are the people who I am telling you are the fortunate ones. They are the ones who you should envy. They're the heroes. They should be your idols. They're the ones that you should look up to. You are the salt of the earth. But if you cannot dry anything out, I can't use you. What am I saying to you?
So that, give up their stature, give up their
right. Yes, they've been used up. So
Isn't he talking really to his disciples?
he's talking to everyone. All of these people are his followers. He is talking to the inner circle of them. How do you, as the listener, know if you're used up or not? Can you accept these words? I'm not asking you, I'm just saying, pretend you're a Jew, Pretend you're a Jew. Can you accept this? That like, oh, wait a minute, actually, so the people that are offensive to me are the ones that are the people that I should look up to. They're the ones who are winning in life. Okay. If you can't accept that, you're used up. You are so committed to the wrong way of interpreting the laws of Torah. You're so gone in that the message of the kingdom is lost on you because you're completely saturated with the wrong message. He's telling, this is a huge deal. It goes right over their heads. But what is he preaching? The kingdom. And he's already telling them, you can't listen because you're already full of garbage. I have to go elsewhere. It's not that I don't want to use you, but you're full. You will not tolerate anymore. So I have to what? Yeah, I got to throw you out. I got to throw you out because the implication is I have more meat to dry, right? I have more work to do. I have to throw you out so I can what? Put new salt in. That's useful for what? What I'm doing next, right? Does this make sense so far? It's really cool. It's cool stuff, yeah. It's cool stuff.
Well, I think it's that when we're told you're the salt of the earth, it's kind of like, that's good. I think where this is kind of sounding like, when he says you're the salt of the earth, it's not good, but it's not.
You are, the salt of the earth has a purpose. Well, what's the next thing he says to them?
The light of the world.
Right, and so each statement, excuse the pun, but is intended to shed light or on the previous. Okay, so how do we know what he's talking about with the salt thing? Is it good or bad, right? Well, you, Jews, right? You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. What does that mean? Think about what that means. Everyone's looking at it.
If you can't see it, it's dark, so it's not alive.
Right, and it's just so obvious and in your face. You can't hide it. If it's nighttime, how do you know where the city is? Everyone knows where the city is because it's got lights. It's like, okay, and in the daytime, I can see it because I can see it. It's a city. You can't hide the city. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Here we go. Nor do men light a lamp and put it under a barrel, but on the lampstand, and it gives light to all who are in the house. Okay, so what does that sound like? Yeah. What does that sound like? Hit the deck! No. What's the most basic idea that he's getting across to them in this light thing? Right, okay. Not hiding. None of this is you turn a light on, right, to illuminate things and for a purpose. You are a people, for better or worse, with a purpose, and you cannot hide from your purpose. Right? It can be night and you should shine like a light. It can be daytime and people should just see you. It's wrong. Listen to his words. You don't light a lamp and put it under a barrel. Why don't you do that? Think about it from their perspective. All right? They don't just flip a switch, right? Well, it would go out, but it would also be what?
Waste money.
It would be a terrible waste of money and resources. Where do they get light from? Yeah, they get it from oil, or maybe if you're super well off, acetylene. We'll leave that there. Either way, it's really expensive, and it's something that you have to acquire constantly. You have care. The last thing you're going to do is light a lamp and put it under a barrel. That's stupid. But the implication is what? That's what you have done. That's what you're doing. You've lost your salt. You've already absorbed everything. You've taken the light and put a barrel over it. And you're asking yourself, how have I done that? By not accepting the words that I'm telling you.
So is that like the purpose that he wants them to be the light for, is to accept the words and to...
He's telling them that the fact that they have hidden the light that they have given them is why it's now going to be going out into, because what's the purpose of the light? To fill for everyone in the room. He's telling them, you were given something. You were given Torah to be a light to the nations. But you put it under a barrel. You were the salt of the earth, but you've lost your saltiness. And my words sound like an upheaval to you because you've lost your way in righteousness. You think that the scribes and Pharisees are righteous. You've forgotten the lowly and the humble. Right? That's definitely just a firecracker. It's good to know. You know what I mean? That is the sound of men blowing stuff up and laughing. We just can't hear the laughing. There may be alcohol involved in that event. Going out on a limb. Yeah, apple brandy. Oh, that's fantastic.
Fresh.
Yeah, very fresh. So in the fact that this is like the kingdom of the heavens is so revolutionary to them because all they care about is self-righteousness and the honor that they can receive for themselves and their family through using Torah for that personal gain. And the ultimate picture of this is the scribes and the Pharisees, who care so very much about the patterns on their clothes and the length of their tassels and the cost of their garments. But inside, they don't know anything of love. They don't care about anything. Let's keep going. You know he's challenging them because he's answering their questions. Do not think that I came to abolish the law. Because he's like, all the people that you think are being punished are the ones that you should idolize. And so they're like, you can almost hear their brains thinking, so then what, we don't honor the law anymore? We just do whatever? He's like, no, don't think I came to abolish the law or the prophets. I did not come to abolish, but this is a cool way. The actual words, his wordage is, but to fill full. Like to actually... The law is fullness. The law is wholeness. I am the one who will fill up what is the fullness of the law. I came to do that personally, to see to it personally. Because you're not doing it. For truly I say to you, until heaven and earth pass away, not the smallest stroke shall pass away from the law until all is accomplished. Whoever then annuls or does away with one of the least of these commandments and so teaches others shall be called least in the kingdom of the heavens. But whoever keeps and teaches them, he shall be called great in the kingdom of the heavens. For I say to you that now this is it right here. For I say to you that unless your righteousness surpasses that of the scribes and the Pharisees, you shall not enter into the kingdom of the heavens. Woo! Now, this is what is the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees? What is it? What would they describe it as? Torah. You know? Well, what do you mean? Who is fit? You know what I mean? Like, this is a great challenge to their way. Before we progress, I want to talk about righteousness and their idea of righteousness and our idea of righteousness. When we think righteousness, we think of a theological, a judicial term, legal, but very developed. You know, our righteousness, we think of my standing. When I think of I'm righteous, as a Christian, I'm thinking of my standing before God and my standing before a legal court. Is that fair, how we kind of envision righteousness? If you want to add to it, please do. I'm not. Their idea of righteousness is quite a bit, it's not quite a bit, it's much more practical. Righteousness in this time is doing right by other people. And it's very much tied into their honor code. All right? If I am behaving in a way that is honorable to you, then others around can look at me and say, David is a righteous man because he is honoring his mother and he is doing right at work and his observable behavior is outwardly righteous, and so we are going to ascribe to him honor. Okay? You can see how in a corporate setting like this, let's say that we all have, and he's going to get to this, and I'm kind of getting ahead, but let's say that at noon at every day, we all pray. Okay? So, and by the way, this has been going on for like thousands of years. We all know that at noon, we all pray. So, you know, I'm an eligible bachelor. So at noon, I just happen to be in the middle of town in really fancy clothing that's expensive. Everyone can tell I'm rich. I have an excellent prayer rug. I just happen to be carrying with me, right? I'm now using our code of honor for personal gain because I'm now practicing my righteousness in front of you to convince you that I am worthy of your honor and acceptance. So let's say that you are a successful businessman. Well, I might make sure to do my prayer, my noon prayer, where you can see, right? Because next week, I'm going to come to you with a business proposal, right? This is practicing our righteousness in front of others, using the kingdom of God, in their case, using Torah for personal benefit, and also to put myself above another person. You know, I see Jeff and he seems to be struggling. I'm going to step away from my relationship with Jeff because I don't want to be seen as someone who's struggling like Jeff. And if he fails, then I'll go out and loan him some money on interest and now try to gain from his loss. Although on the outside, I can tell everybody that I'm helping Jeff, right? You can see how, and this is, by the way, the game that they're all playing. Those with money. Later on, we'll get to it, he derides the scribes and Pharisees because he's like, you scribes and Pharisees, you tell people not to take care of their aging mother and fathers and instead give the money to the temple because you're giving it to God, and that's better. He's like, you're dishonoring God by taking from the mothers and the fathers to put it in your own coffers, you know? And that's a gross exaggeration. But in a very simple way, if I see my neighbor struggling and I don't go to help him, that's unrighteousness. That's unrighteousness. The neighbor struggling is an unrighteous, and it doesn't make you any more righteous that you're not. This is how the unrighteousness is found in the strong man seeing the weaker struggling and not helping him, not realizing that the weak man is actually the one you should idolize because the wall between him and God is thinner. He has to rely much more on God than you do. So his wall between me is thinner. He's your idol. He's the one that you should look up to. Totally flips their whole social structure upside down. It would be the same thing as Christ saying, I want you guys to understand that this is not, I'm just, yeah, but listen, how hard it would be for us to accept. How dare you deport, you know. The ones that you should look up to are your illegal aliens. And even in this room, even myself, I'm like, I don't really think I want to say that. But that is what I'm not saying he's saying that. I'm saying he's challenging you in that way. And if you're not willing, like if this is offensive to you, you must be cast out. You've been used up. You see what I'm saying? You're the salt of the earth, but if you've lost your saltiness, I got to throw you out. He's antagonizing you. He's putting it in your face, you know? We don't see this part of the Sermon on the Mount because we hear, blessed are the thing. It sounds very gentle. It's not gentle. He's antagonizing them. Remember, I told you that in the beginning we were going to encounter a Christ who is insulted by his people. And he responds with, I will not be your king because you are not worthy. You're not worthy. You're not ready. He's announcing the kingdom, and he opens up with, everyone who you guys think is the worst, they're my favorite. And if you don't get on board, I'm tossing you out. And don't be confused. I'm not here to abolish the law. I'm the one who's going to fill up all of it that's required for the fullness of a man. I'm going to do it. Nothing will happen until all of it is fulfilled, and I'm going to do it personally. Woo! He's in their face. Okay, 21. You have heard that the ancients were told, you shall not commit murder, and whoever commits murder shall be liable to the court. But I say to you that everyone who is angry with his brother shall be guilty before the court. And whoever shall say to his brother, Rakah, or like, you're an idiot, shall be guilty before the Supreme Court. And whoever shall say, you fool, shall be guilty enough to go into the fires of Gehenna. If therefore you are presenting your offering at the altar, and there remember your brother has something against you, leave your offering there before the altar and go your way. First be reconciled to your brother, and then come present your offering. Make friends quickly with your opponent at law while you are on the way with him, in order that your opponent may not deliver you to the judge, and the judge to the officer, that you may be thrown into prison. Truly I say to you, you shall not come out of there until you have paid up the last cent. Okay? So he's now helping them understand what he's talking about, because he's getting at the actual heart of their failure and the heart of the law itself. Okay, he says, "You have heard that it was said, you shall not commit murder, and whoever commits murder shall be liable to the court." Now, so he sets that up on this one side. You've got the law, you shall not murder. Okay, what's the consequence of you shall not murder that he lists? You go to court. All right. But he says he has this idiom, "But I say to you that everyone who's angry with his brother shall be guilty before the court," and that is like a murdering anger. Okay, who's like rage, who's enraged with his brother shall be guilty before the court, and whoever shall say to his brother, "You're useless," or you're of nothing, what's his consequence? You go to the bigger court. Now, just so you know, saying to your brother that you're of no value is not as big of a crime as murder, is it? So for murder, you go to the court. For telling your brother that he has no value, you now go where? To the Supreme Court for that one. Okay. If you simply call your brother a fool, what happens? You are going to be cast into hell. It's inverted justice. Do you see this? The person who murdered, he has to go to court. And in court, you can actually defend yourself, can't you? Well, if you tell your brother that he's useless, well, now you don't get to go to court. Now you have to go to the Supreme Court, where they're going to decide whether you live or die. If you simply tell your brother that he's a fool, they're just going to throw you right into hell. Whoa. What is he getting at? What's he getting at? First of all, what are the scribes and the Pharisees? What is the what is the religious expression of the time? What are they all struggling with? Greed. That's a good way to put it. In what way are they struggling with greed? Oh, okay, no, that is a huge part of it, and he's going to get into that in a minute. The money is the expression of what they're struggling with. They are all struggling with this idea that righteousness is about who? Me. And that Torah and law, it's all about me and what I can gain from it. All of them are looking at how can I gain, and my family, how can we use Torah for our own personal gain? This is what their culture has become. Okay, so he's saying, you're concerned with the law, don't commit murder. And you think that if you don't commit murder, that you're now what? Pleasing to God. You're not. You're not pleasing to God. Because so I'll show you how you're not pleasing to God. If you're angry, if you have that murderous rage that leads to murder, well, you're just as guilty before the court of heaven. You're just as guilty. Now, why is he saying that? We all know this answer because we've all felt this, haven't we? But let's say that you're self-righteous. Let's say that you're a self-righteous person. A self-righteous person is going to be like, that's not me, right? Okay, well, if you've ever thought of your brother, you're useless. Now you're liable to the Supreme Court. Well, who's going to think that of their brother? The person who's going to think that of their brother is the person who's going to think that of their brother is the person who's going to excuse themselves from the first one. Right? So if you're excusing yourself from the first one, then you are the kind of person who looks down on other people. Now,
Or it's compared to me.
yes, their righteousness is subjective and they are the judge. We know what this is like. You know, we all do this too. This is just how they relate to God. You know, and he's like, this is so backwards and wrong that I can't start with you. Why is my kingdom, why is his message of the kingdom like this? Because they're not ready. Like they're so used up and twisted and wrong that he literally cannot begin with them. And he's showing them that now. He's telling them the gospel of the kingdom. Look, the gospel of the kingdom is righteousness is how you treat other people. And the way you treat the least is how you treat God himself. This doesn't sound revolutionary to us because it's been on the earth for 2,000 years. It's revolutionary in this moment. This is the first time that this message has been breathed on the earth. It's revolutionary. And Christ is bringing it right here. He's like, yo, your idea of righteousness is totally backwards. You think that being blessed, that receiving is righteousness. You think that acting in a way that benefits your family, acting in a way that displays honor to secretly benefit yourself is a very dark evil. And I will not have it. I can't start with this. It's really, yeah.
Isn't it also pointing out to them more that they can't meet all the law? I mean, like the Ten Commandments. They might say, well, I never murdered anybody, but he's kind of like pointing out that there's more to it than...
Yes, ma'am. He's pointing out that the purpose of the law is to soften your heart. Like, for example, I might not have ever murdered like my brother, but I have definitely had that rage where I've been like, I want to kill him, you know? I'm just saying, we've all been there before, right? I've seen it. Trust me. You know, I've had that. And the only thing that prevented me from doing that was opportunity and fear of consequences. But in my heart, it was done. He's saying, so your actions seem righteous, but your heart is far from the law. Because the law was designed to show everyone that none of you can make it, so how could you be a judge of another person? You can't judge him. You can't make it. But the scribes and Pharisees, they all what? They pretend, don't they? We all read, I mean, it's easy for us to read it on the outside. But like, you know, a lot of the people that we hold up as religious examples, it's going to come out that they're frauds in the end. You know, like just because people look spiritual and they can use the terminology doesn't mean that it's real. There are so many ministries out there that are actually businesses, that they're owned by the person who's the pastor preacher, and they're for-profit businesses. What is this? You know? It's just not everyone who appears to be righteous is. And many times, those who look like they are the ones who are not are those who are actually blessed. Okay, so notice he plays on this here. In 22, he's like, everyone who has murderous rage with your brother, you shall be guilty before the court, and whoever says to his brother, you're useless, shall be guilty before the Supreme Court. And whoever says, you fool, shall be enough to go into the fires of hell. Okay, so in 23, if therefore you're presenting your offering at the altar, and remember that your brother that's the guy who you were just cursing, right? Has something against you, leave your offering there before the altar and go your way. First, be reconciled to your brother and then come and present your offering. Okay, so he again is turning it on their head. You curse like that, you're a fool or you're useless. That's what you would say to someone who's lower than you. Okay, but what he's saying is, if you able and you have the means to buy a sacrifice and bring it to the altar, if you realize you've cursed your brother and now he has something against you, before, by the way, that brother that you thought was lower than you, that's why you cursed him, before you're going to present that offering that God has provided you with, you need to go and be reconciled with the person who's lower than you because you've offended them. That's backwards for them because they would have cursed them because they thought that person was lower. I'm offended by your lower status rubbing off on me. You're a useless fool. Get away from me, right? I don't want your unrighteousness rubbing off on me. This is why he says, beware of the righteousness in the scribes and Pharisees. Unless your righteousness, unless you practice this in a way that goes beyond what they do, you're not going to enter. That's why he says it in verse 20. It's like the crux of the kingdom of God and his message. You have to do away with all that you see, all that pretense. It's a lie. All the pretense is a lie. What actually matters is the heart behind the law. Yeah, great, you've never murdered your brother. Do you love him? No, I can't stand him. I hate his guts. You're just as guilty. You're just as guilty. Your heart is far, far from him. Well, then who can stand? You're right. But don't think that I came to abolish the law. I'm going to fulfill it. And this is such a in-your-face message. He just gets right to it. I just love this.
And then going and reconciling with that person, that would definitely lower their stature.
Yeah, right. Yes, exactly. And by the way, let's just be honest with each other. Who's willing to do that? Nobody. It's very, and I don't mean technically nobody. I just mean it is such an insult to me to go and do that. It would be such an insult to me. And he's using that on purpose, you know? You now need to go and apologize to the illegal immigrant who had your job and you got it back. You need to go apologize and give him your job back. Whew. It's like, but he's the criminal. I brought him up here as a gift the same way I brought you up here or over or across the pond or whatever. And I'm not making a political statement. I'm just using that because it's offensive to us. You know? He is on purpose offending you. Unless your lower status brother, like you have offended your lower status brother, you need to go be reconciled to him. Put yourself under him. Then I'll accept your offering. Why is that really ironic? It's so ironic that Christ is saying that because he's going to do all this stuff. He's going to walk this through for them. Like when he says, you are the light of the world. It's pretty poignant in that the light of the world is actually there, right there with them. And he's also like, you don't put the light under the bucket. Well, who's the bucket? They are the bucket. Why don't they get the light? Why isn't he coming to them? Homie, you're trying to put it out. I can't. It's going to go elsewhere. You don't leave the light under the bucket. You don't use the old salt again. You're not hearing my words because you won't hear them. Hearing, they will not hear. Seeing, they will not see. They are not worthy. It's a crazy message, isn't it? 27. You have heard it was said, you shall not commit adultery. But I say to you that everyone who looks on a woman to lust for her has committed adultery with her already in his heart. And if your right eye makes you stumble, tear it out and throw it from you. For it is better for you that one of the parts of your body perish than for your whole body to be thrown into hell. And if your right hand makes you stumble, cut it off and throw it from you. For it is better for you that one of the parts of your body perish than for your whole body to go into hell. And it was said, whoever sends his wife away, let him give her a certificate of divorce. But I say to you that everyone who divorces his wife, except for the cause of unchastity, is how mine translates it, makes her commit adultery. And whoever marries a divorced woman commits adultery. Again, you've heard that the ancients were told, you shall not make false vows, but shall fulfill your vows to the Lord. But I say to you, make no oath at all, either by heaven, for it's the throne of God, or by the earth, for it's the footstool of his feet, or by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great king. Nor shall you make any oath by your head, for you can't make one of your hairs white or black. Not so true today. But let your statement be yes, yes, or no, no. And anything beyond these is of evil. I'm going to pause there. Okay. He's predominantly, yeah, that's fair. He's predominantly, or at least directly, speaking to men. And if we can all tell each other the truth, he uses this on purpose. He on purpose gets every man in trouble. I'm just telling the truth. This is how he picked our wives, Every one of us. And then he follows that with, so, okay, if you look on a woman with lust, you're an adulterer. If your eye causes you to stumble, cut it out. Everyone should have their eye cut out. All the dudes should have at least their eye cut out. That's the point. Everyone fails. He's like, okay, everyone's heart is the same. You think it's okay to just not commit adultery, but what we're actually talking about is the heart. If it says don't commit adultery, then the heart that follows God doesn't even look for lust. But in point of fact, all men have looked at women to lust after them. That's why it's not, he picks something that is impossible to avoid to show you that none of you are better than the other. Oh, so Fred committed adultery, Jack didn't, because Jack's poor and ugly, and Fred's rich and attractive, right? So Fred was able to do it because he was able to. Jack, he couldn't pull it off, right? I'm just saying. It's easy to think, well, Jack is such a better husband. Actually, Jack has massive pornography issues at home, and no one knows about it, right? Who's committing adultery more? It's not the point. The point is they're the same. Fred has the resources to what? Hide it and pull it off. He doesn't. So his sin is easier to see, but they're the same. Nobody is better than the other. How could you possibly think that God is with Fred and not Jack when they're both lusting after women? He's just throwing their social structure in their face and showing them how shallow they all are. You're judging everything based on what you can see. None of you care about the heart of one another because you tolerate the poor among you, right? He's like, okay, you scribes and Pharisees, I guess you guys are those right now because you guys are on that side. You guys all claim to be blessed by God, right? And yet, these people are poor and needy and can barely pay their mortgage. And you know each other. No, that's pretty accurate for all of us, brother. We're, welcome to America. No, but I'm just saying, how is it that those who are righteous allow those who are next to them to suffer and still call themselves righteous? The unrighteous aren't the people who are suffering. Their wall between them and God is thin. They're the closest to God because they're depending on him every day. You don't depend on him at all. You guys, this is all make-believe. No one's in trouble. Yeah. You don't depend on God at all, and you claim to be blessed by him, but, and this, we're going to get into it in a minute, or he's going to get into it, but actually you're revealing the darkness within you. You're revealing the darkness because righteousness gives. Darkness takes. Evil takes. Good, light, what does light do? Shines. It shines. Why is the barrel, it's so, Jesus' parables are just off the hook. Why is the bucket inappropriate? Why is it inappropriate to put a bucket over the light? I'm only asking. It seems obvious, but nothing has changed. If I have a light on this table and it's the only light in this little chair and it's the only light in the room, right? It is going, and everything's dark, it is going to illuminate the room, right? Well, let's say that I take a 5-gallon bucket and I put it over the light. The only thing that has actually changed is the amount of space that's being illuminated. It's illuminating the whole bucket. It's actually brighter inside the bucket than it would be if I took the bucket away. Well, what's changed? Why is it inappropriate to put the bucket over it if it's actually brighter inside the bucket? Because you're not sharing it. You're keeping it to yourself. It's the evil, the darkness is keeping the light within, containing it. The darkness is soaking up all the salt for what? Yourself. The salt soaking up all the moisture so that itself cannot hold anymore. You're so consumed with yourself, there's no space in your heart for what? Anyone else. So you can have no righteousness in my kingdom, because my kingdom is concerned with who? Other people. He's going to demonstrate that by dying for who? Who does he die for? His enemies, right? He dies for his enemies. They have no place in their kingdom, and the kingdom doesn't belong, it can't be given to them because their hearts are full of the darkness of greed. And he's going to use the eyeball here to really drive this home. Cut it off wherever you go. Thank you. A good man. You have heard it was said, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. But I say to you, do not resist him who is evil, but whoever slaps you on the right cheek, turn to him the other also. And if anyone wants to sue you and take your shirt, let him have your coat too. And whoever shall force you to go 1 mile, go with him 2. Give to him who asks of you, and do not turn away from him who wants to borrow from you. He's talking now, he's demonstrating what actual righteousness looks like. You have heard that it was said, you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say to you, or now I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, in order that you may be sons of your Father who is in heaven. For he causes his sun to rise on the evil and the good, and sends rain on the righteous and the unrighteous. For if you love those who love you, what reward have you? Do not even the tax gatherers do the same? And if you greet your brothers only, what do you do more than others? Do not even the Gentiles do the same? Therefore you are to be whole, as your heavenly Father is whole. What is he talking about? We're going to stop after this. We'll go into 6 next week. But what does he mean here? What is he getting at? You can tell his tone has changed. He's now going, if you will, he's going beyond the law now, isn't he? He's saying eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. But I'm saying to you, just to use his words, whoever slaps you on the right cheek, turn to him the other also. Why is that bad advice? You're going to get hit twice, right? Yeah, oh, dude, right. In what scenario would you be willing to follow this advice? Like, I mean it. Really think about it as a mature thinker. Like, what if anyone wants to sue you, if anyone wants to take your shirt, give him your cloak also. If someone asks you to go a mile, go with him too. What would you have to do that?
I don't know if you're going to like this or not. Prepare yourself.
Okay, cool.
There's a scene in The Chosen where they have to lay down their belongings and the Roman soldiers make them walk a mile. And they're making fun of Jesus and they're putting a helmet on his head and the disciples are all kerfuffled. And they get to the end of the mile and they think, we did it. Jesus says, we're going another. And the lesson learned, the atmosphere change in that teaching to go one more mile beyond what those people thought was funny, the looks on their faces, what they were learning from it. The disciples were like, wait, you want us to go even further? The lesson under that umbrella was fantastic. And in just the walking a mile thing. And
Yes.
I was just absolutely impressed with how much they could put into just that little piece of that parable, I guess you could call it.
And okay, so building on that, if you observe someone taking the shirt off of someone's back and they're like, no, you can have my cloak too. What would you think of the person who did that? Not the taker, but the giver.
It would probably change your mind.
About what? Like, what would you?
They wonder why they did it. Why are they doing it?
Yeah. And now put yourself in the place of the person who's doing it. Why are you doing this?
They're the righteous ones doing right for others.
Okay, why would a righteous person be willing to go beyond what's asked in an unjust situation? I've been hit on the cheek. You know what I mean? Why would I turn the other cheek?
Because you're outside of self.
Okay. Where now I'm not. First of all, I'm definitely not concerned with myself. Okay.
It has to be spirit-led.
Okay, now we're getting at it. I'm not inside myself because I'm a child of righteousness. Righteousness isn't about who? Me. It's about other people. A righteous man recognizes that his enemy is just as worthy of love as his friend. So even though you treat me as an enemy, I am going to recoil and respond with love, not with the same hatred. Christ demonstrates this later on in his own life, right? It's, you guys many of us have parented and are parenting. Sometimes when I'm talking to my kids, I actually tell them this now. I'm not talking to your present self. I'm talking to your future self right now. So that when you're in the future, you're going to hear this. And it's going to come back to you and you're going to know that I'm not the idiot that you think that I am. A lot of what Christ is teaching here, he's telling to the disciples, he's teaching them knowing it's going to be written down in the future, right? He's speaking just as much to you and I as he's speaking to them. Just as much to you and I as he is to them. we have the only person who's going to turn the other cheek is a person that trusts Yahweh for my well-being, right? If you ask for my shirt, I'm only going to give you what's demanded of me unless I'm a righteous person that trusts in Yahweh for my well-being, not myself and not you. Because if I trust you, when I say you, I mean the social construct of honor and shame. If I trust you for my well-being, then I have to play the game of honor and shame. I have to perform my religion in front of you to be accepted by you, right? If I don't do that, you will not accept me. Christ is saying, if they don't accept you, they're not my children anyways. Trust in me. You do not need to defend yourself. He's already said, how lucky are you when they cast insults at you for my name's sake. Now again, he hasn't been crucified. He's just kicking the ministry off, right? They're like, what is he talking about? He's not talking to them about what's going to happen today. He's preparing them for when he's gone, right? Everything he's doing is bringing the kingdom, making the kingdom ready. Even this moment, even the very first opening message, he's dividing people, isn't he? You're like with me or you're against me. You are either going to accept my words and accept that you're doing it wrong, or I will cast you aside and invite others in. I'm going to get new salt. But the kingdom of God and the plan will not be stopped by your unbelief. It's a really cool message. The Sermon on the Mount is dope. He is bringing a whole new kingdom. He's bringing a whole new message to these people. And what's funny is it's not funny. It is going right over their heads. You know, it's just like whoosh. And they don't even realize that they are in the midst, that they themselves are fulfilling Isaiah's prophecy of, hearing, they will not hear because they're dumb. Seeing, they will not see. Like God blinds their eyes because of lack of faith. They are being rejected, just as he is being rejected. It's really interesting. You guys have any questions or comments about tonight? No? Cool. Well, let's pray. Hey, I ended up 10 minutes early tonight, y'all. Heavenly Father, we are in awe of you and who you are. This is silly language, Lord, but we strive to be found in your kingdom. Meaning we just so badly want to learn of your ways and be able to walk in a way that's pleasing to you. And as challenging as this is on a continual basis, Lord, it sounds like you want me to just love the people who are around me regardless of my estimation of them. And I just want to repent from struggling with that, Lord. And thank you for such a beautiful and awesome message that is so free for all of us. So as we go, protect us, keep our hearts and our eyes and ears open to you and your word and your will. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. Thank you guys for coming out. I love coming and teaching this stuff.